Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today we're taking a look at a DEPSTECH Video Endoscope. DS700 is the model number. Now, I was very skeptical of this device when I saw the price. I thought that it can't be that great for this price range. So let's do a cylinder inspection on this engine here on a wood chipper. And I took the spark plug out, and you can see there's some debris there. I'm gonna make sure that doesn't fall into the cylinder here. For one thing, we can inspect the threads as we're going in. They're looking pretty good. Now you want to be careful not to slide the side cameras on the metal threads. So now we can see the cylinder here. And there's a little bit of carbon buildup there on the cylinder. But I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the cylinder walls. This isn't a very old engine, so you can see the cylinder walls have been cross-hatched as far as their honing. So that's looking really nice. And so this hasn't been run that much, so you can still see that original hone. Alright, there's the edge of the cylinder wall. And let's say the piston is just a little bit too close. So you can just basically take and pull and move the cylinder in and out so you can get different inspection views there. I'm going to move it all the way up. Now we can get a closer look. That's a little bit too close, so let's go ahead and pull it back a little bit. That's at the bottom there. Alright, so that is the front camera. So let's look at the side cameras here. I have to stop recording. Now we can switch to the side camera here. So the right side camera gives us a view of one of the valves here, so we can get a general idea of the buildup on the valve and the edge there, because if there's too much buildup on the valve where the valve seats, it'll create a little bit of a leak. Usually you can tell with the light shining through it, depending on your view and everything, but right here we can see it's not much buildup at all. We can actually still see some of the markings on it. And that's using the right camera. So let's switch to the other camera. Once again, we have to stop recording. Switch to the other side. And take a picture if we want. Alright, so now on this side, we can kind of twist it around and get different views here. And we can see the edge of the cylinder, see if there's any kind of ridge building up or any kind of corrosion or anything like that. And you can see right there, there's the valve. Get actually a better view on this side here. And there's the other valve. That's the one we first saw. And here's the second one there. Get a really good view right there. You can see with the side camera, that close-up focal distance does a great job. And you can still, there's enough focus in the distant objects to where you can still get your bearings, but right there at close-up you can get a nice view of that valve and the top of the cylinder head and all that stuff. Okay, stop recording. We'll go ahead and take a picture of that. It looks pretty good. Now we switch to the front and the side view. So now you can see it squeezes in the views, but at least gives you the view there. And so we have the cylinder, and then of course the other side. Now I've twisted it so much that it's hard to say which side it is which now. So you can get different views at the same time. And of course the lights are working nice. And let's go ahead and switch to the other side so we can see that view. and the front view at the same time. Just let's say we lose track of our bearings where we're at, especially at a far distance, we can switch different views and kind of get an idea of what's going on. And it goes back to the front view there. Now let's go to the side view and let's kind of go deeper in there so we can get an idea of that cross hatching on the cylinder hone is looking good, and that's where the light comes in and kind of helps see all that detail. And just a general inspection of the cylinder wall here with the side view. You can see you can see those scratches that are going forward and back. That's where it's kind of wearing in the cylinder wall there. Slight imperfections, but that's just the way it goes. That's the point of mating the cylinder rings with the cylinder wall there. So that side camera really comes in handy for stuff like this. You see a little bit of oil there at the bottom, and you want the cylinder wall coated with oil. When you start it up, it'll be much less than that, but that's just where it's sitting still. And as I moved the cylinder in and out without it running, kind of repositioned that is what it looks like. But yeah, these side cameras, the ability to have different lights. There's the other side. It's really handy. And you can see right there, I don't know if you can tell, as the light shines, there's a spot right there where you can see where the rings stop. And that's where you would accumulate, over a long period of time, a slight ridge right in that area. So right now there's like zero ridge because it's a fairly new engine. But over time, that's where the rings would stop. And so below that line would be worn, and then above that line would be not worn. So that's where the ridge comes from. The ridge actually comes from the not worn place. The way the controls work is very simple once you know what they do. This button is for taking a picture or to start recording by long pressing it. Now it's recording. Now once you start recording, it will not give you the ability to change the views and stuff like that. So you have to stop recording in order to do that. To switch the camera views from the front or either side, you just press this button. So there's the front view, one side, there's the other side, and it changes the light direction when you do this. And then you have the front view and then one side, one view on the other side, and then back to the front view. This is going to the settings. Go ahead and press that. And you can go in here and change different settings here. You go left and right to go up and down basically. You can adjust the screen brightness, format the system, the drive. It comes with a 32 gig drive SD card. It does have a microphone, so it's actually record voices and stuff. There's the back button here. But the back button also, if you're not in the menu system, let's say you have this view here, you can press that and it flips it to the upside down view. Let's say you're trying to read something, you're closing in on something, letters or whatever, and you just want to have it flipped over so you can read it. You can flip that and it just does a 180 on the camera. So if we go to that camera, press the button, it flips it too. So the side or the front, any of the cameras, it just gives it gives you a flip view. So let's go back to the front camera here. All right, so if you want to adjust the brightness of the light, you can press this left button. So as I press the left button, off, low brightness, medium, and then high. So sometimes that light is a little bit too bright and it just reflects too much and it gets in the way. So having the ability to adjust it is really nice. Sometimes you don't need any light, so you can just turn it off. Sometimes that's best. The right button will give you a little bit of a zoom. So let's say the focal range on these cameras it's like the front camera is like 1 to 4 inches, 5 inches, something like that. But let's say for some reason you just want to get a closer look, but if you try to get closer, either you can't get closer or it's just out of focus or whatever, too close. So you can go right where you want it, press the right button, and it'll give you a slight zoom. Press it again, it goes to a 1.5, and that's the maximum zoom that you can do. Press it again, it comes back out. It's a digital zoom, but it does give you the ability to just kind of magnify what you see on the screen. And of course the power button as well there. So when you press the OK button, when you're on the screen, nothing happens. That's for selecting the in the settings. When you press OK and hold it, you can go into and view your photos or videos. So let's go into the photos there. So there's one of the photos, and then we can cycle through the different photos that we took. And then we can go back, we can go over here to video, and then we can go through and cycle through the different videos that we took, and so on. So we can go back out of there. We can also transfer these files to our computer, whether it be you can directly connect this device to your computer and transfer them there, or you can take the SD card out and transfer them to your computer in that way. But having the ability to replay pictures and videos on this device, you can disconnect the probe, bring it over to, let's say you work at a service department, you can bring it to a customer and show them here on the screen instantly what you are experiencing using the camera. So the device itself is fairly light. It does have a handle here, so you can get a good grip on it. The buttons are rubberized. The screen is kind of glossy, but the screen brightness is nice, as we'll see soon. The ends are rubberized. It does have a speaker back here because it does record audio when you're recording video. It has a little kickstand here, so you can set it down so you don't have to hold it. Here at the bottom is where you'll find the SD card input, as well as the USB-C charge port, or transfer the files off of the device onto a computer. Here's where the microphone is, right here. And there's where you connect the probe there at the top. Basically, you take this top piece, turn it until it drops down. And basically, I'm just finding the correct pin orientation when I do that. Press it down, and then I tighten it up. So that's how you connect it. And it comes with a little Velcro piece. Good idea to take that and connect it here, so that way you don't accidentally tug on that probe wire that's connected to the device. So that's a good idea to do that. And then of course you can use a kickstand and set it down like so. And then when you power it on, press and hold that button, and then it shows this little beginner guide, which you can turn that off. And you cycle through 1, 2, 3, and then now we have the view from the camera. We also have the SD card that is in place, the battery level, the camera is ready, and then also the view. So we're in camera A, which is the front one, and then you have B and C, which is the side ones. There's also a date and time as well down here that you can set in the settings, and then that way you can know what date and time you actually recorded or took a picture. It's a screen stamp, basically. Now the probe that it has, it's in this, there's a flexible wire to begin with, and then it goes into a pretty robust metal probe conduit. And it's flexible, but it stays right where you want it. So we can, even at a fairly great distance, we can flex it and it stays right in the shape that we want. Like so. So that's just really handy. And so it has 3 cameras here. There's a camera on the very tip with LEDs, and then there's a camera on this side with an LED light, and then there's another camera here on the other side. And they're marked A, B, and C. So this would be B, that one is C, and the front one is the A. Now the front one has more LED lights, a little bit better camera. So let's go ahead and turn it on so you can see what the lights look like. You see the little LED lights there that illuminate around the camera, so it's like a little halo light. The ones on the side are just a single point light. So I can go ahead and switch to the other side here. So you can see it's just a single point light. Compared to the front light, which is a multiple ring light right there. And as you switch views, it'll switch the light depending on which way it's looking. So right now I have it front and side, so both the side and the front lights are on. Press it again, it's the front and the other side. Press it again, and then it goes back to the front light there. In order to demonstrate the image quality and the usability of the product, I set up this little mock inspection area. So basically I drilled a hole right here so I can insert the endoscope into this area, which has different items in it that's easily recognizable. So since this has 3 different cameras, the front one is going to be the main one, and it has the light here. So as you go into an area, you can see that the front camera is kind of limited to, of course, the front area. But having the ability to switch to the other cameras is really handy. So let's go ahead and first start with the image quality here on the front. And you'll notice that the camera, you can see really small details. You can read little numbers, and you can kind of get an idea of the condition of different metal parts. But the light sometimes gets a little bright. So if we have adequate light, we can turn off or adjust the brightness here. So I turn that off, and you can see now we're not dealing with any kind of reflections or anything because we have adequate light. So now we have the Rubik's Cube there, and you'll notice that the side cameras are not as in focus far away. You have to get kind of close in order for that focus range to take effect. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. So now we have the Time Wizard side here. And once again, we have to get closer in order to get, let me go ahead and move this closer, in order to get the camera in focus. Once you get closer though, it is in focus. So the front camera has the best focal range out of all 3 cameras. And of course we can switch to the side and front, other side and front, and then we're back to the front view. So the focal range there in the front is the best. So we could be about like 1 inch to 4 or 5 inches, and we can still see pretty good. We can do inspections of cylinder-shaped objects like this, and look at rifling, that kind of thing. Now this is a little bit too tight for using the side cameras, but we can get a really good view there on the front cameras. We can inspect the chamber and all that stuff. It's a little bit of a tight fit because I don't have it perfectly straight. Let's go ahead and move it to the other side so we can get a view there. In addition to the hard case, it comes with these little tools. And this one is for the reset switch on the device. This little ring is to replace the little guard ring, which we'll see in a second. It's just an extra one. And then these two little guys are very handy. This one is a magnetic pickup tool, and this one is a little hook in which you can reach down and hook something and pull it up using the actual camera probe itself. At the end of the probe, we saw the little light at the end, but there's a little ring at the end which you can unscrew, and it reveals some threads. So that little ring right there is what you have an extra of. Now let's start with the hook. Now when I first saw this, I thought the hook might get in the way too much and you won't be able to see what you're doing. But let's go ahead and put that on and see what it looks like here. Put that on like so. We're going to use the little hook, and basically I'm just going to cheat a little bit, but we're going to see, you can see the hook right there, and you can see what you want to hook onto, and you can kind of get a hold of it and pull it. So that way if there's something that you're trying to get which is not magnetic, then you can use the little hook here, and you can see pretty good. Now if the item is magnetic, we can swap out the hook for the little, very strong actually, magnetic. And this kind of blocks the view a little bit more, but still, you can still see. Alright, so you see how it blocks the view a little bit, but you can kind of get a general idea by moving it around where you're at. Also adjusting the light as well. So let's go ahead and adjust the light. Turn the light off, so now we have less reflection on the actual magnet, and we can see around it a little bit better. And then we attach to what we want, and of course we can screw it all up, but attach it to there, and then we can reel it in, that kind of thing.